What's going on? It's another Thor's Thoughts. Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 5. Eastwatch. After last week's episode, Spoils of War, whatever, that was an amazing episode. This was definitely not as good as last week's episode, but it was still a great episode. Let's break it down, and then I'll tell you kind of what I thought about it. Besides, it was really good. So the Tullys survived. We started at the end of the battle scene from last week. After a montage of last week's episode, we started right at the battle scene. The dragon's sitting on a rock, looking majestic and evil as hell. Jamie and I can never remember Jamie's buddy's name, but those two are alive. He pulled them out of the water in the beginning of the episode, so we're all good there. Which I think we kind of all figured he was going to survive. Pretty much saying, like, what were you thinking? Like, you pretty much were going to die there. I saved your life. Because he said you could have killed him, but whatever. It was either way. So then we got to Daenerys on the rock with her dragon. Pretty much that scene we got from last week where kneel and you live, don't and you die. Tully's chose not to. The father and the I think the older son, they both chose not to. Burned alive. Dragon just Dundee. You can see Tyrion is really not happy with the amount of live humans she's burning at this point, because he was walking through the battlefield before that all took place and looking at like the burned bodies, and the Dothraki were just like pillaging all the swords and armor, anything they could really find from all the dead people. It was pretty gruesome. So we got there, and then we go back to Dragonstone, where Daenerys is, and Joram returns. So he is, he's back. The dude that had the gray skin or whatever, gray scale, I think they called it, that got cured by the Tully, the Maester Tully. He's back now. Daenerys is super happy to see him. There's a little weirdness between him and Jon, just like a little bit. Like Joram could definitely notice that there was something between Daenerys and Jon Snow. I mean, there was a lot of tension going on in that triangle. So we got him returning. And then Brandon Stark sends out ravens to pretty much everybody. He sees the Night King with his army of the White Walkers heading towards Eastwatch. So he sends out ravens to pretty much everyone, the Maesters, Jon Snow, so on and so forth. Everyone gets a raven. Pretty much no one believes it. Even the Maester Tully dude was trying to get the Council of Maesters to believe and like tell everyone to send their people north. And they're like, well, this could be a trick from Daenerys, so on and so forth. So he ended up leaving the Citadel later in the episode. He was unhappy, stole a bunch of information, and he's taken off. He doesn't know his dad and brother got burned alive yet by Daenerys, so we got that left for later on. And then so over in Winterfell, Arya doesn't trust pretty much anybody, and she's right to not. So she's following Littlefinger around through a little bit of the episode. She has a run-in with Sansa where she's pretty much like, I know you want the North. Like, you can say you're trying to fight the thoughts, but you know they're there, and you can't get rid of them. So Arya's definitely on to the crap that's going on in Jon's absence in Winterfell, because some of the lords are still mad he's gone. We're like, the King of the North should never leave the North. And Sansa's not stepping up for Jon and defending him. She's just kind of keeping everybody at bay. So if she does take over, like, everything's cool. Which she's playing both sides smart, but she's still playing both sides. So then Jamie and Tyrion actually meet in this episode, because they come up with this kooky idea that they're going to go north of the wall and steal a zombie and bring it back and show it to Cersei so everyone can fight the army of the North. Or not army of the North, but the army of, beyond the wall. The army of the dead or whatever. So they have this crazy idea that they're going to steal a zombie, bring it back, show her, and she's just going to be cool with everything. So Tyrion goes to meet Jamie, and when he goes, the older dude, God, I can't remember his name either. I wrote down a bunch of names, but there's some names they didn't say, so I didn't catch, so I couldn't write it down, and I don't know them. But the older dude with the beard goes and gets Robert Baratheon's bastard son, who is like a silversmith, or is like a blacksmith. There it is. He was a blacksmith in King's Landing. So they went back to King's Landing so Tyrion can meet Jaime, and he got Robert Baratheon's bastard son to bring him with him, which dude's got a badass hammer. It's a long hammer, and he knows how to use it. I'm very excited to see him in a real battle scene because we saw him take out 2 dudes real quick. It was badass, and I want to see more. I just want to see more. So that was going on. Tyrion meets Jaime. They have a discussion like, we're going to bring you proof. I'm sorry about what I did. Now you know I didn't kill your son. Had to kill dad. Was left with no choice. It was a little icy. It was very, very tense meeting. But then Cersei and Jaime have a little meeting later where she announces she's pregnant, which that's like the biggest probably news of the episode. Cersei's pregnant again with supposedly Jaime's child. I don't know if any of this is true or any of that is accurate. I mean, that's what they said, but it could all be a ruse to get Jaime on her side again. So, but she said, don't ever betray me again. And she knew about the meeting between Tyrion and him and that his buddy Bronn set it up. I think it was Bronn. She said it. I think it was Bronn. I should have remembered that earlier. But yeah, so that was very, very interesting part. Because now he's got her, or she's got him thinking that we're going to do all this for our unborn child and leave everything to him or her or, the child. So then, Arya said Tully leaves the Citadel. Arya's been tracking Littlefinger. So then Jon finally talks Daenerys into letting him leave to go on this crazy mission with Joram and a few other people to get the zombie to bring back to King's Landing. So at the end of the episode, they get to Eastwatch, and lo and behold, the wildlings at Eastwatch have the Hound, the eye patch dude, and the drunk dude holed up in a cell in the basement. And they're trying to go past the wall too. So now you got this whole motley crew of like Jon, Joram, the bastard Baratheon, the wildlings, the Hound, eye dude, eye patch guy, and drunk dude all heading north of the wall to steal a zombie to bring it back to prove to everybody that this is real, while the army past the wall is pretty much marching right towards them. So that's where the episode ended. It was a really good episode. It was a lot of story layering, a lot of story building, a lot of bringing old stuff back together on a lot of things from the entire series reconnecting. But not a lot of the action that we got last week, and definitely no craziness like last week's episode. But still a very, very solid episode. Probably a good solid B+, maybe even A-. I mean, there really hasn't been a bad episode of games this season. There's only 7, so there really shouldn't be. We got 5. This was 5. 2 to go. So yeah, there it is. Thor's Thoughts, Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 5. Check out the show. Basement Boy Banner, Episode 91 should be going up soon. Wrestling in the Basement, the Rick and Morty, Thor's Thoughts will be going up in like an hour. But yeah, check it out. Until next time, like, share, subscribe. You know where to find us. Deuces.